Hello everyone, and let's talk about how you as an association leader can turn generative AI skeptics among your members, among your staff, and among your volunteers into industry trailblazers on adopting and using and leveraging generative AI effectively. Now, associations are uniquely positioned to lead their industry on generative AI adoption, but the challenge is in preparing staff, volunteers, and members to adopt generative AI. And success builds on getting them really engaged in creating an innovative and collaborative culture around generative AI adoption. So engagement is the name of the game. You need to get them really engaged and excited about generative AI success. For example, Gallup data shows that engaged teams are 21% more profitable and 17% more productive. And that's without using generative AI. So the point is, whatever the team is actually engaged in doing, if they have buy-in, if they truly believe in it, they will be much more likely to do it, to be excited about it, and to actually take the steps that they need to take in their own work to adopt generative AI into their activities. So engaged participants are the ones who will actually integrate generative AI, and they will drive innovation and mission success. They'll be using AI for things like personalized member services, for event planning, for financial processing, and so on. All the things, content creation, marketing, education, all the things that you can get generative AI to do effectively. So the key is to get them start by getting them trained effectively. Now, static training, which typically is what associations often use, and I've worked with a number of associations on this, they often fail. Just go to LinkedIn Learning, something like a platform like that, will often not be very successful for generative AI adoption. Instead, what you really want is interactive learning. That's what can spark curiosity and motivation and engagement and adoption. So having hands-on workshops where the workshop is customized to the actual needs and case studies of your own association by somebody who's an expert in getting associations to adopt generative AI is key for getting your staff and your volunteers and even your members. Of course, you'll be focusing on staff and volunteers. That's where you can have the most impact, and the most benefits to you as an association leader, but even members as well. They'll be excited if they can get this hands-on experience. So communications teams, as an example, can use generative AI to create newsletters, seeing instant results. If you can have that as part of a workshop and have them actually practice it, that would be helpful. Also, having gamification to boost participation with points and rewards for engagement, that's actually quite helpful as well. For example, you can have tangible incentives such as certificates, gift cards, and so on. For intangibles, you can have things like public recognition of your staff and your volunteers, even members. So you can recognize leaders who excel in generative AI adoption. That fosters inspiration and momentum for them. Then another benefit is linking generative AI skills to career opportunities. So for example, you can have generative AI focused leadership opportunities for volunteers, and for staff you can have promotions of various sorts. Of course, you can have leadership opportunities for staff as well, to the extent that that gets staff excited and not just seeing that, hey, this is just another unfunded mandate burden. You want to make sure that staff feel that their actions are rewarded monetarily as well as in public recognition, because they are staff for a reason. Another thing that you want to think about is building a community of practice. So collective learning deepens commitment and drives shared goals of knowledge retention and generative AI adoption. For example, I've seen success with monthly AI forums that let volunteers and members share best practices and solve challenges. You can do cross-chapter virtual meetings. So it doesn't only have to be at the local level. Cross-chapter virtual meetings, these sorts of forums where members and volunteers across chapters share best practices on generative AI adoption in the context of your association. The communities of practice ensure that participants are going to feel part of a larger mission. Also, personalized learning. Having adaptive platforms that tailor training to individual needs is very helpful for addressing knowledge gaps. So another thing to think about in terms of personalized learning is virtual simulations that let participants practice activities around generative AI adoption in risk-free environments. For example, Having mock event planning activities for chapter leaders can help build confidence, help them be more creative, and help them actually adopt these tools for actual event planning. So that's what can help you use generative AI effectively. Let me give you a case study of a client I worked with, a manufacturing association that we used stuff like tailored workshops, gamified training. Volunteer leaders, for example, earned points for generative AI learning, which they can redeem for gifts. Well, they also got public recognition. The more points they got through national leaderboards, and of course got them some recognition at these volunteer monthly chapter meetings for activities that they did, that they got points for, so that was quite helpful. We had community meetups like this that fostered idea sharing and troubleshooting, not only recognition, but also brainstorming activities where people shared ideas and they shared problems and how to solve them. So results were really good. We doubled the training completion rate compared to previous training on generative AI content, and there was a 25% boost in member satisfaction along with a 20% improvement in member retention over 6 months, which is excellent. So that's why you want to enable a culture of innovation for generative AI adoption. Have a mindset shift toward embracing generative AI tools and ideas through getting people really engaged, getting them transformed from skeptics to trailblazers. To do so, you as a leader must model generative AI adoption yourself to inspire member buy-in and direct appropriate resources toward all of the generative AI adoption techniques I talked about. Support continuous learning to ensure that you sustain engagement over time after the initial burst. So that client that we did the 6-month initial burst, we then had sustained policies that went on after I already left and helped them out. So they kept sustained policies through getting feedback, through these integration of the monthly meetups. That was very helpful. And have public recognition of success. So they continue public recognition of success through leaderboards as gamification, certificates of recognition, through gift cards, and so on. Have a culture of shared learning. That is what will help transform generative AI skeptics into advocates. And associations, if your association prioritizes true engagement among staff, volunteers, and members, you will lead your industry on generative AI adoption. If you have any questions, please email me at gleb@disasteravoidanceexperts.com. Again, gleb@disasteravoidanceexperts.com. And please subscribe to wherever you checked out this video to get more content like this.